Whoa, it's the Illusion reporting from somewhere on Spaceship Earth. All right, someone asked me a question and I just got off the phone talking to him, and I think it's a question that many of us have. And so I thought I would share my advice with you because maybe you need the advice as well. I don't know. Anyway, it was about being angry and frustrated with the state of reality as we know it to be. Now, when we wake up to the greater reality going on around us, I think our first vibe is like shock. Like, wow, human beings really treat themselves pretty poorly. They don't get along too well with each other. There's a lot of weird economics and, I don't know, social caste systems, keeping everyone separated and everyone in a state of conflict. And when we wake up to that and we realize there's this sort of idiocracy going on around us, we become frustrated because part of waking up is knowing that we don't need to be asleep anymore, that there's something bigger going on out there in the world, and that we have certain access to the solutions that we didn't have before we woke up. And we start to look around, and because we know things that the sheeple don't, we become very frustrated with the sheeple. And we begin to judge them, and we begin to look down upon them as stupid or ignorant or lacking of common sense, or they just don't know any better. And that's easy to do, because I think that the chaos that we all are experiencing on Spaceship Earth, from famine and the starving African child, to starving Chinese child, starving American child, the wars, the environmental degradation, are all designed to cause us who wake up to be in a state of frustration and anger. And I think that if you were to be awake and aware to what's going on Spaceship Earth, and it didn't make you angry and frustrated and mad, well, you wouldn't really be awake. But you don't have to remain in that state of existence. It's part of a stepping stone, a ladder to climb. You know, I'm relatively inexperienced in the greater aspects of reality. I'm just winging it here, people. And what I found is I spent a large portion of my life being an angry young man, being an utter conflict at the confusion that surrounded me, being totally blown away that people don't know how to use their turn signals when driving down the road, that people would actually think that war is a good idea, that people could justify destroying the environment, that nuclear energy made any sort of sense. So I spent a lot of time like fighting for the cause, if you will, you know. And it didn't change anything in the big picture. Yeah, there's been change. I mean, when I was a tree hugger, like, we saved some forests. It was pretty cool. You know, there was some change, but the big change in my life came when I realized the answer to all the confusion lay within me. That I was the key to the cage. And what I mean by that is that, yeah, being aware of what's going on Spaceship Earth is the beginning of the awakening. I mean, to realize what we're doing to ourselves personally, more or less to our fellow beings around us, and what we're doing to our precious spacecraft we're floating through the universe on, is shocking. I mean, it's utterly shocking what's going on out there. And the excuses people have for justifying it can make one very angry. But then you begin to realize that once upon a time, you weren't awake. You weren't aware that you were one of the sheeple, that you were just as confused and sloth-like and ignorant as everybody else, that you were buying into the propaganda and the lies just like everybody else, that you believed the nonsense they were telling you. So when we awaken after we get past the initial shock and anger of what's going on, it's a question of how long do we dwell in that state of reality. For me, I dwelled in the fight, the fighting the man. We're going to change the world. We're going to change this bullshit going on. I engaged in that kind of nonsense for, 2 decades of my life. And it wasn't until when I woke up to the next level that there was nothing I could do about it. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it, but there is. But you have to realize there's nothing you can do about it. Because the next thing after that is to realize there's a greater consciousness going on. That there's a greater consciousness. I call it source energy. Some people call it God. Some people call it spirituality. It's anything but religious dogma. And so once you realize that there's something greater going on here, and that basic concept is perfection, that consciousness and God and source energy are perfect by their very nature, and that everything is created and part of God consciousness, creation, the whole thing, that there can be no such thing as imperfection. That all the things that I judge to be the flaws of the world, the flaws of the universe, the flaws of mankind, were all my judgments on the situation. Because I didn't realize that all the negative stuff going on Spaceship Earth were actually gifts, that they were allowing me to wake up, that they were allowing me to make a decision, whether I was going to be part of the problem or part of the solution. And at first, when I woke up to the realization there was a problem, I wanted to be part of the solution so badly that I was willing to fight for it. I was willing to create the same sort of chaos that was contained within the problem. I was basically trying to fight fire with fire. Now, I know that works sometimes in a forest fire, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about something much deeper here. So I was trying to basically make 2 wrongs equal a right. And what I learned when I woke up to the next level, that I have no ability to change anything, is that something greater than myself is the only way that any of this is going to change. And it's me making contact with that. It's me realizing that every molecule, every thought, every wavelength around me is part of the one source. And then I'm not separated from it or you or this pen in front of me or the light waves coming from the sun. That everything that I'm experiencing is part of the one. And it's only me judging it as negative or positive that causes the frustration, that causes the anger, that causes the disparaging thoughts. Because when I am separated into the dualities, I am no longer in the solution. It is only once I accept that negative and light, negative and positive are the same thing, that yin and yang are the same whole. They're separate parts of the whole. And that the only way that I could make a positive difference in this reality was to accept my own choice in this reality. My choice whether to be an angry individual at what was going wrong around me or part of the solution. And how I found being part of the solution was realizing that bitching and moaning and complaining aren't part of the solution. Look, I spend a majority of my day checking out alternative medias, keeping abreast of socioeconomic, political affairs going on Spaceship Earth. I like to keep myself informed as to what's going on in the lower dimensional reality that we're all experiencing on the form level. But it's my choice whether to invest my energy into the nonsense that is politics. And that's what I was trying to get to with the rock star and the Syria thing is I make an informed, educated decision not to be involved in that. Not because I think that it's not a valid point. It's just that I'm not giving my energy to the left or the right or the positive or the negative or the right or the wrong. I'm giving my energy to the whole. And how I'm going to give my energy to the whole is how I act on a moment-by-moment basis. My decision every second of my life is whether I'm going to be part of the solution or part of the problem. And how I am part of the solution is to realize there is no problem. The problem is created here. It's artificial. I've invented the problem to keep myself vibrating at a lower dimensional reality. I'm keeping myself trapped in a world full of chaos by fighting it. The minute I let go of it all, the minute I say, okay, Source, this is all perfect. This is all to wake me up. This is all to teach me what I need to know to vibrate to the higher dimensional level. And at this point in my vibratory energy evolution, I'm at the place of empathy, forgiveness. I'm realizing more and more that there, but for the grace of God, go I. That all those people that I view as the sheeple or the uninformed or the ignorant, they are me. They were me. And it's only because of a power greater than myself that I awoke. And if I can do it, if source energy will grant me the courtesy of waking me up, then everybody else is equally loved by God and source energy. And who am I to judge anybody's mission? Look, we can all make fun and joke around and the whole thing. But at the end of the day, who am I to say that a football watching, potato chip eating, fluoride drinking, beer guzzling human being glued in front of a television is any less valuable than me? That is the problem. That the minute that I as an individual think that my reality is any more valuable than anybody else's, I am the problem. I am that cancer. It's only when I realize that I am one with everything, that everybody else's problem is part of me, just as everybody else's solution is part of me. But it's only my judgment that creates problems and solutions. It's when I realize that I don't need to judge it anymore, that it just is, that it's like it's very zen in that sense. But again, I'm only a puppy in this waking up process. Every day I wake up and discover more and more truth to the fact that it is a simple decision that I can make every split millisecond of my life, whether to be positive and exchange positive energy and be part of the solution, or dwell in the duality of they're right and I'm wrong, or I'm wrong and they're right, or whatever it is. I don't even know what it is anymore, man. Black, white, green, yellow, right, wrong, upside down, right side up. It doesn't mean anything anymore. It becomes meaningless eventually. The wars no longer have the power to shock me anymore. They are part of the human condition in this lower dimensional reality. It's only when I free myself of being trapped in that state of judgment that I do become part of the solution. If you want to sit and dwell about what the problems are on Spaceship Earth, then you are the problem. If you want to dwell on what the solution is, you're in the right direction. If you really want to get to what's going on, is don't dwell in either camp. Just be. And the minute you become one with the source, your energy field changes, and your ability to be negative and angry almost cease to exist. Or the distance between outbreaks of negative and angry energy become further and further apart. This is a journey we're all taking together, people. I've spent plenty of my life being an angry young man. And now I'm I don't even know what the word is. I just know that me being angry about anything just gets more anger. That the only way I can actually solve any of the problems of the world is to solve them here first, is how I act, how I behave amongst my fellow human beings. I think this may be a broken record that I talk about a lot, but it always bears repeating, is that if I'm going to treat my fellow human beings like garbage, I might as well be a dictator pushing people into concentration camps. There is no difference. Yeah, you can semantically say there's difference between lining people up and shooting them, but on the bigger cosmic level, dude, to be an asshole to someone is the equivalent of lining someone up and shooting them. It's just a different bullet. The bullet of your attitude is just as deadly as the bullet of a gun. You are the weapon. You can make your bullets of love or bullets of peace, man. It's entirely up to you how you want to go about this experience. I don't know if I think I've made some sense, but it ran a little long here, people. So if you made it this far, positive mental attitude in the year of the smile, thumbs up. All right, man, I hope you're all enjoying your dream.